Ladies and gentlemen, China has just given Donald Trump a taste of his own medicine, and Donald Trump is getting desperate right now. So it's very interesting to watch what has happened and what's the impact to the stock market. Please watch on. So today's topic is about China just make some moves to indicate that they're giving Donald Trump a taste of his own medicine. I would just say this: serve Donald Trump right, serve him right. Okay, and we have I remember when I was young, I was a Teochew phrase. We say "obi kwai kwai," you know. Yeah, so it's actually this kind of situation right now. So as usual, this is not financial advice, and my usual disclaimers are here. Let's go. So China now flip-flops and play hardball with Donald Trump. And take note, flip-flop usually is a term associated with Donald Trump, but now China also do the same thing. So in an interesting turn of event, remember that US and China has already came to agreement in Geneva that China will not control the critical mineral export anymore and will export them to US. But guess what? China, never did it. So China is now still holding an export ban on the critical minerals, and this get US very, very kanchong. And we call this 以其人之道还其人之身. So it is a very interesting way of using your enemy's own method to take revenge on them. So I thought this is a very 高招 and very highly skilled method. And all these are developing news, so please hit subscribe as I give you more and more of this news. These are very market sensitive because it will all depends on what both sides react. So China new trade negotiator is ready to play hardball. He Lifeng, the Beijing economic gatekeeper, has a clear mandate from Xi Jinping. China will not be catering to US. So strategically, Xi Jinping felt empowered to harden his position from Donald Trump's first term. The arsenal of trade tools that China has built under He Lifeng's leadership includes export control of critical materials, which is minerals, used to build ships, cars, F-35 jets, giving it the ability to cause the US real pain. So right now, US is in real pain. So in President Xi's opinion, the people who consult with China officials said China overall is more prepared and self-sufficient than during the earlier trade war in 2018 and 19. Right now, they are all ready, and China leader has now rallied a team to take a tougher stand on Donald Trump. Well, China has now narrowed the technology gap with the West, and they are now leaders in many areas: renewable energy, robotics, artificial intelligence, and the country is now more able to resist and tahan against the US trade war and sanction. Take artificial intelligence, right? They spend $200 billion across 9,600 AI firms, and this area is still booming. Now, that said, China economy is still hit by property bust, rising debt, and falling prices. Right now, they are also suffering in an export plunge to US. So it represents 3% of China's GDP. So it is still quite painful for them. So both sides are having pain. Let's see which side can tahan more pain. But it's very clear to Wall Street and to me that China will not give in and will hold out as long as they can. So meanwhile, the US realized that the only way to fight this is to raise domestic production, since there are no other place they can get. And they try to raise the domestic production of this critical minerals. So Donald Trump has now raised to Congress for a speedy approval of everything necessary to raise domestic production of the critical minerals. So I won't go to the details of it. They have now tried to enact law to assist domestic production, including relaxing rules, speedy approvals, raising of funds, and all this kind of thing. So what the analysts say was this: I don't think anyone should be surprised how this is playing out. We have a production challenge in US, and we need to leverage our whole government approach to ensure resources and ramp up domestic capability as soon as possible. The time horizon to do this was yesterday. Too late, okay? However, despite indications of positive action by US government to promote production of all these critical minerals, the reality is that chronically low mineral pricing and a lack of interest from private investors, long lead time for mining projects, extended qualification time for process of this material will really, hold US back. There's a limited amount of progress that can be made in the US mining sector in a 4-year presidential cycle. In short, it is fat hope that they can catch up in this area. Okay, so these facilities will be a first of their kind in US, fully integrating the rare earth supply from minerals, blah, 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 blah. But, okay, these materials will only be able to produce 1,000 tons of this material, less than 1% that China produces in 2018. So in short, no chance to catch up. So in short, it's way, way, way too long and too late for this initiative to come out right now. So in short, Donald Trump now is desperate. At the very least, he's desperate for a dialogue with President Xi Jinping. So what analysts is saying is this: President Trump, we expect, is to have a wonderful conversation with the trade negotiation this week with President Xi. That was what they say earlier. But the truth is the president is obsessed with having a call with Xi Jinping. And he claims that, Xi Jinping is a good friend of his. I don't think the feeling is mutual. So another analyst told Politico that China has a sharp nose for weakness, and for all his bravado, Trump is signaling eagerness and even desperation to cut a deal with Xi Jinping. This only stiffens Beijing resolve. So in short, what Trump is doing now, saying now, reacting, is indicating to China that he's desperate. When you meet someone desperate and trying to bully you, what do? You play hardball. That's exactly what Beijing is doing right now. So Donald Trump feels like a call between principles is a way to cut through a lot of that noise and get right to the heart of the matter. But unfortunately, China sees President Trump as unpredictable, poses risk reputationally for presidency. The other side is an ASEAN. Why do I want to talk to an ASEAN? Because if I talk to an ASEAN, it may put me in a very embarrassing or unpredictable encounter. So it is not usual practice for PRC is People Republic of China, diplomat, to put their leaders at risk of a potentially embarrassing or unpredictable encounter. So Xi Jinping knows that, okay, and he's not going to talk to his counterpart, who is an ASEAN. So Donald Trump right now is extremely, extremely upset that he actually made a statement. He says that it is extremely hard to make a deal with China's Xi Jinping, as strict talks now between the two countries have stopped. So Trump's tone has now changed, okay? And initially he was quite optimistic, now no more. He accused Xi Jinping now as very much a communist, and China is now playing games and deceiving US and basically, talking bad about China. But the truth is, China is now flip-flopping, and is what Donald Trump is used to doing. So giving Trump back a taste of his own medicine actually seems quite funny. So you notice that he just make a lot of noise, kao pei, cry father, cry mother, and things like that, But so far he hasn't said, basket, China, you did this to me, I'm going to hit back with you 140% tariff. No, he didn't. You know why? Because it's TACO, T-A-C-O. Trump always chicken out. So Trump right now doesn't seem that he dares to escalate, so far, right? If he really have the resolve to deal with China, he would have whacked them very hard. But so far I didn't see anything. Maybe he would, I don't know. I think he's just chickening out. So financial market right now is also calling Trump's bluff. So everybody thinks that Trump is losing this negotiation game. So everybody knows that Trump always chicken out. So now they are playing the stock market game, knowing that Trump will chicken out. So the TACO trade has worked, and buying stocks on extremely tariff-related threat has worked. So Deutsche Bank forecast analyst says that they raised their S&P 500 target to 6,550 points, anticipating that investors will become more bullish if they believe that tariffs have only a minor and temporary effect on growth. I also think that way. Okay, However, history does suggest that Trump won't follow through on tariff threat. They are destabilizing or extreme. But then this is a big but, okay? What if Donald Trump actually follows through and major tariffs are implemented? Now, that is a big question. If that happens, that means he actually carries through his threat that are usually deemed as hot air, then there's a chance that there'll be a market pullback. So a lot of analysts right now thinks that yes, it will hit you'll most likely go to over 6,000 points, but it's hard to say whether Trump will actually follow through and cause the market to tank again. So there is a lot of uncertainty, but the market is right now, taking the stand that Trump is just blowing hot air. However, that said, let's all be cognizant that even though there is an opinion that Trump will chicken out, and that's probably true, the economy is still slowing down globally. And this will certainly have an impact with the economy. The stock market is ahead of the economy, but in time to come, both of them will kind of go back. We don't know how this thing will take. So I think that we should be optimistic, but cautiously optimistic. So in closing, I want to say that yes, the stock market right now is on a climb, and I think it's a very healthy climb. But I need to emphasize on this that it is still very unsure what's the impact to the real economy. So all of us must just make sure that we keep enough reserve for rainy day or rainy days that is to come. And I think that there could be opportunities for business and investors in time to come when all this volatility continues. So let's watch and see. This is developing news. Very exciting to see how this fight is going on between the two countries and the world leaders. So remember, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in a day or two. Bye-bye.